What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Sunday, July 20th. We'll start it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news as first baseman Jake Bauers was placed on the 10-day IL with a shoulder impingement, another injury to a Brewers first baseman. Tyler Black was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, and his prospect star has really fallen, and he will be relegated to a bench role for the Brewers. But that means Andrew Vaughn will get everyday playing time at first base for the Brewers moving forward. Next, we have third baseman Isaac Paredes, who was placed on the 10-day IL with a hamstring strain. The Astros have dealt with so many injuries this year. It's a wonder that they are still in first place right now. Shea Whitcomb and John Singleton were added to the active roster in corresponding moves, but it looks like Mauricio Dubon is likely to see the most time at the hot corner for the Astros, but Whitcomb and Zach Short will see plenty of time on the left side of the infield for the Astros. Next, we have Ryan Ritter, who's placed on the 10-day IL. He was playing shortstop every day for the Rockies until Ezekiel Tovar returned from his lengthy IL stint over the weekend, which shifted Ritter over to second base. Ritter was a top prospect for the Rockies, but likely, like I said, he is headed to the IL. Kyle Farmer is likely to see most of the time at the keystone position for the Rockies, but Ariel Amador was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move to Ritter's IL placement, and he could split time with Farmer at second base. In terms of transactions, relief pitcher David Robertson, who was signed by the Philadelphia Phillies. Robertson is 40 years old now, but last year he was great once again, as he has been throughout his career. 3 ERA across a career-high 72 innings pitched with a 1.11 whip and a 33% strikeout rate. I wouldn't expect Robertson to factor into the closer role, especially right away, but he's definitely going to help with the depth of that Phillies bullpen. And in terms of news, catcher Francisco Alvarez is expected to be recalled from the minors today. Since being demoted a month ago, Alvarez has played in 28 games at AAA, where he batted .297 with 10 homers and a 197 WRC+. However, he's still struggling with strikeouts, punching out more than 28% of the time. Alvarez is unlikely to see everyday playing time right away for the Mets, with Luis Torrens still present there. He's a great defensive catcher who has great underlying offensive metrics as well. So they'll have a good catching tandem there in Queens. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Sunday, a day in which we had a full slate of 15 games. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with outfielder Taylor Trammell, who helped the Astros to win in Seattle, going 3 for 4 with 2 runs, a double, a homer, and 3 RBIs and a walk. It was his second homer of the year, and it traveled 384 feet at 105 miles per hour. A 2016 first rounder and former top prospect, Trammell is getting a chance in Houston, filling in for an injury-plagued outfield. After opening the year on the IL with a calf injury, Trammell did enough in a brief minor league sample to earn the call and hasn't looked back. However, we'll have to see a lot more of what he did on Sunday for him to maintain playing time when the club returns to health. The strikeout woes that have plagued Trammell throughout his career are still persisting, and he's hitting the ball on the ground over 54% of the time, making it difficult for Trammell to parlay his impressive batted ball quality into actual production on the field. He was able to lift the ball a little bit yesterday, but until he can start doing so consistently while making more contact, Trammell will be relegated to deep AL-only leagues in terms of fantasy. Next, we have third baseman Royce Lewis, who helped the Twins to win in Colorado, going 2 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 home runs, and 2 RBI. It was his 4th homer of the year, and the first one went 451 feet at 108 miles per hour. Second one went 411 feet at 102 miles per hour. And I was always impressed that the hype around Lewis never died down despite his injury-plagued start to his career. It was very reminiscent of teammate Byron Buxton, who has taken off this year, but it seems like it's finally dying down, especially internally for the Twins, as Lewis's bat has disintegrated. Just a 623 OPS on the season, leading to his plummeting down the lineup in Minnesota while losing out on playing time to Brooks Lee. But all hope isn't lost for Lewis. He's still hitting the ball hard, and he's making more contact than ever. And I think with better luck, his 237 BABIP should turn around, leading to a second half surge that seems to already be underway. I'd be buying low on Royce Lewis wherever I can. And lastly, we have outfielder Lamont Wade Jr., who helped the Angels to win in Philadelphia, going 3-for-4 with a run, a home run, an RBI, and a walk for good measure. It was his second homer of the year, and it traveled 422 feet at 109 miles per hour. Wade's falloff was dramatic and sharp as he went from a mainstay in the Giants lineup to a DFA before signing with LA. It's possible Wade has been playing through an injury this year because his underlying metrics are all out of whack. While he has been really unlucky on balls in play and in terms of home run to fly ball ratio, he hasn't been pulling the ball in the air like he used to, and that has completely sapped his power on the season. Just a 551 OPS for Lamont Wade Jr. Sunday was a welcome sight, though, as he went deep for the first time since joining the Angels in early June. And that home run at 109 miles per hour set a season-high max exit velocity. With little positional versatility or defensive prowess, Wade will have trouble finding consistent playing time, but if he gets back on track offensively, the Angels will have no choice but to ride the hot hand. I'd sit back and wait on this one before diving in fantasy. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Sunday, check out the Daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Cade Horton, who did all he could, but the Cubs lost to the Red Sox. He tossed 5 2/3 shutout innings, allowing just 2 hits and 3 walks while punching out 4. He induced 15 whiffs with 31% CSW across 86 pitches, and Horton's 3-pitch mix carried him to the brink of a quality start, as his sweeper was absolutely unhittable, inducing 6 whiffs and 54% CSW with exclusive usage against right-handed hitters, as he was able to find the zone and still miss bats. Horton threw curveballs and changeups against lefties, with the slow ball returning a trio of whiffs and the hook failing to be competitive, not finding the zone. Horton probably would have made it deeper into the game if he were able to consistently find strikes with his heater, but it was all over the place. Yet it still produced 4 whiffs and 26% CSW at 54% usage. It's a pretty mid pitch in general, the fastball is, leading me to think Horton should become a more secondary focused pitcher, but it's usually better at earning strikes, the fastball, and his sweeper usually doesn't have this level of success. So Horton will continue to be a Toby with a shag rug, which means at any point it could fall out from under him because he's a rookie. However, we're still starting Horton with the White Sox in Chicago up next. Our next pitcher is Gavin Williams, who helped the Guardians to a win against the A's, tossing 7 innings, allowing 4 hits and 1 run while walking 1 and punching out 11. He induced 19 whiffs with 38% CSW across 96 pitches, and he earned the King Cole as that 38% CSW led baseball on Sunday. Williams cooked with his best outing of the year, attaining 11 strikeouts for the first time since August 2023, thanks to a complete overall of his arsenal. That has me pumped for a huge second half. Rather than being his usually 4-seam reliant self, it was his least thrown pitch as he dispensed his arsenal more evenly, allowing his curveball to take center stage with 7 whiffs and 39% CSW, which paired well with his righty killing sweeper at 6 whiffs and 38% CSW, while Williams' new sinker filled up the zone to the tune of 43% CSW, and his cutter did the rest, keeping him in at bats versus lefties. I love the development Williams has made this year. He went from a guy who was 4-seam curveball sweeper, and that was about it. And then we started seeing the cutter start getting incorporated. And then now we saw the sinker right before the All-Star break. And here we have just everything shifting around and finding a ton of success here. And I'm expecting even further refinement for Williams moving forward with the Royals up next. Our next pitcher is Marcus Stroman, who helped the Yankees to win in Atlanta, tossing 6 innings, allowing 5 hits and 1 run. He walked nobody while striking out 4, inducing 9 whiffs with 20% CSW across 95 pitches. And it's been a rough season for Stroman, as injuries kept him out for over 2 months, and underperformance has marred his ratios. 5.64 ERA, 1.48 whip for Stroman on the year. But he's looked a little better since returning from the IL and turned in his best start of the season on Sunday, as he found loads of strikes in the zone with his sinker, returning 4 whiffs and 38% CSW against right-handed hitters, while cutters carried him against lefties as they were unable to lay off the pitch in on their hands, leading to 10 foul balls and a pair of whiffs. He didn't find much success with his curveball and splitter as they combined for just 18% CSW, but they kept hitters off of Stroman's fastballs. However, the reliance on balls in play and weak contact has me shying away from Stroman, especially with the Phillies up next. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Sunday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves, starting with the former. Yariel Rodriguez recorded his second save with a perfect ninth. Jeff Hoffman had pitched on back-to-back days, so he got the day off on Sunday. Felix Bautista worked around 3 walks and a run to record his 19th save. Devin Williams worked around a solo shot to record his 14th save. Ryan Stanek is up to 2 saves now after his scoreless ninth. Edwin Diaz pitched in this one. He blew his second save while allowing an inherited runner to score in the 8th, but he walked away with his 5th win when the Mets reclaimed the lead in the 9th. Carlos Estevez recorded the final out of the game to extend his AL leading saves total to 26. He was used in that outing because Andrew Hoffman had produced an error-induced jam, and Estevez was able to escape that to record his save. Anthony DeSclafani pitched 3 innings while allowing 1 run to record his second save of the season. Abner Uribe worked around an unearned run to record his second save. Trevor McGill had pitched on back-to-back days, so he was having the day off. And lastly, Will Vest pitched a perfect 4-out save, his 16th of the year. And in terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or below their saves, David Bednar pitched a perfect ninth, down by 6. He hadn't pitched since last Sunday, so this was clearly a maintenance outing, and you're going to see that theme across this section as Grant Taylor pitched a hitless 7th, up by 6. He also hadn't pitched since last Sunday. Yohan Duran pitched a scoreless 9th, up by 6. He also hadn't pitched since last Sunday. And lastly, Ryan Helsley pitched a scoreless 8th, down by 3. You guessed it, he hadn't pitched since last Sunday. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable relief pitching performances, or I guess relief pitchers in general, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Monday, July 21st, a day in which we'll have a full slate of 15 games. My matchup of the day is Logan Gilbert versus Brandon Woodruff, 2 teams that are in the playoff hunt. And we got 2 aces that have been great this year. Brandon Woodruff on his way back from an extensive injury, and Gilbert continuing to do what he's done throughout his career. In terms of probable starters, we've got 7 guys in our auto starts tier, including Gilbert. We've also got Zach Wheeler in Boston, Jacob deGrom versus the A's, and Framber Valdez in Arizona. Our probably starts tier is 3 guys, and our questionable starts tier is 9 guys, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Jacob Lopez versus the Rangers in Texas. Lopez has been quietly very solid this year, and if he can find good command on Monday, then he should have tons of success against the Rangers. I'd also keep an eye out for Tyler Anderson in Queens. He's in the questionable starts tier, but he's somebody who can produce a quality start on any given night if his changeup is performing, and it has been doing so all year. In terms of hitter suggestions, I look at Cardinals and Rockies hitters in Coors best hitters ballpark in baseball. We'll see Michael McGreevy squaring off against Austin Gomber in that one. I'll also look at White Sox and Rays hitters in George Steinbrenner Field. That park plays very offensive friendly, and we'll see Sean Burke square off against Shane Baugh, so nothing special there. Lastly, I'll target Astros and Diamondbacks hitters in Chase Field. The pitching matchup is not exceptional. Colton Gordon versus Zach Gallen. Obviously, Gallen has had his moments, but neither of these guys has been particularly great this year, so I'll be targeting hitters in that one. And I will close things out with our relievers to watch. Felix Bautista threw 34 pitches yesterday, so I'd expect Seranthony Dominguez to get the save opportunity for the Orioles if it arrives today. And lastly, Devin Williams has pitched on back-to-back days, so look for Luke Weaver to get a save for the Yankees on Monday. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. And make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.